Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So, Canto 6, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, Chapter 4, the Hamsagriya Praise. Today we are text 33. So we can chant.
Yo anugrahartam bhajatam padamulam. Anamarupo bhagavan anantaha. Namani rupani cha janma karmabhe. Veje samahyam paramaprasidato.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is inconceivably opulent, who is devoid of all material names, forms and pastimes, and who is all-pervading, is specially merciful to the devotees who worship his lotus feet. Thus he exhibits transcendental forms and names with different pastimes. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose form is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss, be merciful to me. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Sridhara Swami. He says the word anama, which means having no name, indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material name. Simply by chanting the name of Narayana to call his son Ajamila attains salvation. This means that Narayana is not an ordinary mundane name, it is non-material. The word Anama therefore indicates that the names of the Supreme Lord do not belong to this material world. The vibration of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not a material sound, and simply the form of the Lord and his appearance and activities are all non-material. So it's interesting to know that we take it for granted that the Lord is like us. So, and it's for that reason even when Arjuna questions how he can teach the sun god, he brings up the point that he is Ajopi son, Avyayatma, Bhutanam Ishwarika son. So Prabhupada also quotes that to show that he doesn't have anything to do with the material body or material form or name or anything. Even his name is not different from him. And it's not easy to understand that principle. So here you can see Daksha is praying like that. He says he is devoid of all material names, material forms, pastime. Of course, if you look carefully, unless Srila Prabhupada translates it in that way, for most people they don't understand or cannot understand what he means by that. So they may interpret it like he has no form. As an impersonal thing, that's how most people would. But because Srila Prabhupada sees our lack of understanding, our understanding that the Lord can have a spiritual form, and we are not experienced enough to understand what spiritual form is, because we are only used to material forms, and we see forms decay and so on. So we will form understanding and logic based on that. Here it is important for us to appreciate why both Sridhar Swami and Srila Prabhupada is highlighting that it is not a material thing. So just like when you're chanting to the Lord himself. And the Lord and His name is not different. He is Spirit. That kind of cognizant understanding must take place before you can actually relate properly. Otherwise, we are trying to relate with the Lord materially, which is what we find most people when they come to the temple. Their prayers are material. It is not for a spiritual understanding, not at all. Okay? So that causes a lot of problem. So Srila Prabhupada's reason for highlighting all these things is to constantly try to purify us from understanding there's a difference, spirit and matter, spirit and matter, spirit and matter. And how would that understanding take place? Through also the other aspect of the other angas of devotional service. We can't just say that I'll read and then I'll understand. No, it's not enough. Jnana can help you up to a certain level, certain concepts, but truly the nature of the person only makes it clear when you do service. Okay, we are not at the level of it is good to hear about past times because it's purifying, but we are not at the level like Rukmini. When she heard about Krishna, she merely fell in love. We won't. We will think, who is he? We'll think, maybe I'm better than him. Like that. So that's the difference. And similarly, Prabhupada quotes from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 13th Madhya, he says, from the purport I think, he says he has nothing to do personally, because everything is done by his energies. Right? So he doesn't have to worry about it. It's just like his material world is going on because that's his desire. And his energies know what he wants. Similarly, when he is doing his pastime, his will is already understood by, his will itself is acting on him. So it sometimes covers him and he forgets that he is the Supreme Lord. When he is with his gopis, Mother Yashoda, in Vrindavan, completely. It's his will actually. And then the way, and it is so perfect, this is perfection actually, because when he wants to act in the powerful way, it also allows him. How this takes place, we cannot know. All we know is we have to learn how to love him. So Prabhupada says also, persons to whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not revealed cannot see how he is working. The way we understand is through loving him. Then we can all appreciate it. Because what are the Acharya's realizations? It is because of their love. You understand? It's not because of any other reason they can explain to us. Right? It's because they love Krishna so much, Krishna reveals to them. So therefore, we can see in the second last paragraph, the name of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord is sometimes called Guna Karma Nama, because he is named according to his transcendental activities. For example, Krishna means all attractive. This is the Lord's name because his transcendental qualities make him very attractive. As a small boy, he lifted Govardhan, and in his childhood he killed many demons. Such activities are very attractive, and therefore he is sometimes called Giridhari, Madhusudana, Agasnisudana, and so on. So he is very attractive, not just because of his activities. Like, if you look at this picture, right, some devotee must have painted him, no? So it's very attractive picture. Krishna is attractive. Somehow or other, his form is also attractive, and you are like bewildered. You don't know how to understand. Guna karma. So by his activities also he is so attractive. Prabhupada continues, because he acted as the son of Nanda Maharaj, he is called Nanda Tanuja or Nanda Sutta. or Nandanandana. These names already exist. That's the other interesting thing. It's not like a man-made thing. It's just like him. It's existing. So therefore, because people cannot accept this thing, his name he's called Anama, nameless. Right? Nama means name. Anama means no name, no material name.
Like Nirguna.
Yes, Nirguna. Yeah, Guna, Nirguna. So finally Prabhupada ends that paragraph. All his activities are spiritual and therefore he has spiritual names. So what does it mean again is all of us have to come to that understanding about spirit and matter very seriously. Yeah, this is a beginning thing. We have to understand that. Our relationship is based on spiritual relation, not on material. And it also highlights here that Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Suddha Nitya Mukta Vinatvam Nama Namina. So that says so much about the potency of the Lord, so powerful, so wonderful. Everything is there in that name of Krishna. All your desires can be fulfilled from that. You can look at Madhya Leela 17:133 for the full translation of that. Srila Prabhupada gives it very nicely. Madhya 17:133.
What is that word?
If you go to Madhya Leela 17:133, you will see the words. I just chanted. It's not here.
Nama Chintamani Krishna. Chaitanya Rasa.
Yeah, Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Suddha Nitya Mukta Vinatva Nama Namina. 133, right? Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 17:133. Now everybody wants to see. Finger become very. So now you can see. Anyway, you can go and read that later on. We'll go to text 34.
Yaprakrita jnanapatirjananam yatasyam dehagato vibhati yata nilapartivamashrito gunam sa ishvaro me kurutam manoratam.
As the air carries various characteristics of the physical elements like the aroma of a flower or colors resulting from a mixture of dust in the air, the Lord appears through lower systems of worship according to one's desires, although he appears as a demigod and not in his original form. What is the use of these other forms? May the original Supreme Personality of Godhead please fulfill my desires. So, he's correct in saying that the Lord is in a sense non-different from the demigods, because all the demigods are actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they are manifesting certain aspects of his desires, the Lord's desire or his potency. And in the other sense he's saying is, what is the point in worshipping also demigods? Because everything is coming from the Supreme Lord, and therefore he rather worship the Supreme Lord for whatever he wants. So in a sense Daksha also has some material desire, but he wants to ask that fulfillment from the Supreme Lord himself. Yeah, he is not like the Prema Bhakta, you can say. Prema Bhaktas are not interested for themselves, they are more interested for the Lord's pleasure. But again, when you try to understand, Daksha is only doing his service to Brahma. He's helping out Brahma. But there are some other issues that will come in the next few chapters.
May I ask one thing? I don't know. I've just heard one verse right now, right? It looks like that it's a very deep verse, like Daksha knows everything about the Lord. Which
Yes,
is already
yes,
saying,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And Maharaj also discussed it many times that because of the tendency to commit offenses, that is why he offended Narad Muni and Lord Shiva.
Yeah, we're going to come to that, why he does it in the next chapter.
Why he does
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Why he becomes offensive.
Why he becomes offensive?
Yeah, even though he is advanced.
Advanced.
Yeah. It's like, devotee can be advanced but still have material desires. That means they are like sakama bhaktas. And when you're too much into material thing, there's a tendency to commit offenses.
Because of the material association.
Yes, yeah. Like that.
Even though having such deep-rooted anarthas, then also he sings such a beautiful prayers. That is such a contradiction.
Yes, he can do prayers. You can be very intelligent and do prayer. But when it comes to a simple thing as giving up everything, you cannot.
Actually, Ravana, you should see
His prayers.
prayers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Then how
But if you don't know that it was written by Ravana,
The qualification is not how qualified you are in prayers. The qualification is how you want to serve the Lord.
prayers come from the heart, right?
No,
When you have
Not
that
necessarily.
intelligence.
Not necessarily. Yeah, not necessarily. There is prayers that is genuinely out of love, and prayers that are intellectual. Yeah. Because if you look at the pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Saraswati, what's his name? No, that Ganga. He was the expert. Keshava? Kashmir. Yes. Yeah. So he sings about Ganga and everything.
100 verses.
Yeah, exactly. But then there was no really devotion or content in it. Content was there, but he was showing his intellectual ability. Yeah. So similarly, when in comparison here also the same thing. Does he have bhakti? Yes, he has. But is it a high level bhakti? No, because the whole intent behind that prayer is material. He wants something.
So I can say that we are much, much, much lower than Daksha.
Yes.
Right? Oh my God.
Yes. You can
talk
say
about
that.
him like that.
Yes. No, we are. Daksha is much more superior than us, definitely. But you have to understand, all this pastimes in the Bhagavatam is for our purification. So he is participating in this particular Leela, you can say, for our purification. Even though from every angle it seems that he is such a bad person. Yeah. But it is for our purification. So they are exalted. Yeah. Definitely.
Yes. Lord Shiva has his son-in-law.
Yeah, just like Indra is exalted. Yeah. So this is all exalted personality. He cannot be one of the Prajapatis if he's not exalted. These are all handpicked by the Lord for particular things, and at the same time they may have one or two disqualifications from a pure devotional point of view.
So Prabhu, please help us identify those things, because I will not identify during your lecture what was the reason why he did that.
We will come to that. It hasn't come yet. Yeah, now he's praying and we are all excited with the prayers because it's wonderful prayers. Okay.
Who also, you're saying because of supreme will of the Lord, right? But
Yes.
also, can we call it also the Yoga Maya?
Yeah, you can say it's Yoga Maya.
The same thing.
In one sense, it is the Yoga Maya. Yeah. In another sense, it's his will also. Right. Alright, so in the purport also, in the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada highlights about how the impersonalists try to worship by imagination. Because they do this Panchopasana and they pick 5 demigods. I believe it's what? Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesh, Surya and Durga. Prabhupada mentions that. Okay, this is called Panchopasana. So you should know that when you the first paragraph.
Adi Shankara proposed this.
I'm not sure. Some of them like that. Yeah. Okay.
Smartas they do this.
Yeah, that much I know. Smartas they do that. Right, so then the next parallel Srila Prabhupada discusses how the Acharyas show us the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entities. And in the last two paragraphs, Prabhupada says, an ordinary man may be a great philosopher, may speculate upon what the absolute truth is, what his form is, and where he is existing. And then Prabhupada says, but he cannot understand these truths. Okay? So, it's not something we can just take a book and then on our own try to read and speculate and think this is how the Lord is, this is what he is doing. Oh, I think this is how he's dancing, this is how he's eating when you read the pastime. No. It's not revealed like that, no? It is true Guru Parampara. Then we understand little, and then more, like that. Yeah. So then Prabhupada gives another clue how to actually appreciate from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sevan Mukhe Hi Jivado Swayameva Spurati Adaha. So it begins with the thumb. We have so many senses, it should be employed in the service of the Lord. The best way is chanting or taking prasadam or glorifying the Lord. Basically everything revolves around that this bhakti statement we have been chanting in the last few times. Bhaktyama Abhijananti. Yeah. Okay, only through devotion. And devotion starts with first form of surrender, and that is Shravana. Yeah, so chanting first. And service. You have to do those things to understand the Lord little by little. Okay? So we can't concoct or speculate, oh, this is what the Lord. I remember also reading in Prabhupada's Lilamrita where the painters would come and paint, and then they'll come and show Prabhupada. They'll have to show, and Prabhupada would correct them. And sometimes they'll draw, and then Prabhupada said, this is speculation. And then they'll ask what to do. And the Prabhupada said, get rid of this or that. So he can guide us because he can see vision already is presented. So through him we understand how the Lord performs his pastimes and so on. Right? That's very important. So that's how we appreciate. Otherwise we are just like the impersonalists or Mayavadis imagining it. Okay? And like, for example, if you can remember the form of the deities and chant, that's great. But you can't just imagine Krishna on your own, dancing or whatever and chanting. Those are speculative. If the most you do is you can put all this BBT art, you can put in front of you, you can look and chant at it. That's a better meditation and then your mind. Okay? So that's a higher level of japa, concentration. Like that. Okay? Continuing last paragraph, not last paragraph, the paragraph after that, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that this verse is especially meant for the impersonalist who thinks that he himself is the supreme because there is no difference between the living being and God. The Mayavadi philosophy thinks that there is only one supreme truth and that he is also that supreme truth. Actually, this is not knowledge but foolishness. And this verse is especially meant for such fools whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. So therefore Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that such persons, Jnani, Manina, think themselves very advanced but actually they are unintelligent. And then Madhvacharya's quote explaining there are three classes of men. The lowest is Adama, those in the middle, Madhyama, and the best Uttama. The lowest thinks that there is no difference between God and the living entity, except the living entity is under designations, whereas the Absolute Truth has no designation. So that's impersonalist. In their opinion, as soon as the designations of the material body are dissolved, the Jiva, the living entity, will mix with Supreme. They give the argument Gatakasha, Patakasha, in which the body is compared to a pot with the sky within and the sky without. Now this is a horrible example. When the pot breaks, the sky inside becomes one with the sky outside. And so the impersonalists say that the living being becomes one with the Supreme. This is the argument. But Srila Madhvacharya says that such an argument is put forward by the lower class of men. Lowest class of men. Another class of men cannot ascertain what the actual form of the Supreme is. But they agree that there is a Supreme who controls the activities of the ordinary living being. So these are better than the lowest class. Such philosophers are accepted as mediocre. The best, however, are those who understand the Supreme Lord, Satchidananda Vigraha. Puna Nandadi Gunakam Sarva Jiva Vilakshanam. His form is completely spiritual, full of bliss, and completely distinct from that of the conditioned soul or any other living entity. Uttamastu harim prahustaratamyena teshucha. Such philosophers are the best because they know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals Himself differently to worshippers in various modes of material nature. They know that there are 33 million demigods. 33 million demigods, not 330 million demigods. Just to convince the conditioned soul that there is a supreme power, and to induce him to agree to worship one of these demigods, so that by association of devotees he may be able to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the topmost understanding. Okay, that the Lord through different demigods shows His potency. And when you understand that there's a difference between demigod and the Lord, then your worship to the demigod is correct. Otherwise your worship to the demigod is incorrect, because oftentimes everyone thinks it is the Supreme Lord. So now you understand why Srila Prabhupada discussed Panchopasana in the beginning, to highlight this fallacy. Okay. Alright, so text 35 to 39. Yeah.
We heard it's 33 crores.
I know, so therefore people translate it to 330, yeah. So that's why I'm just highlighting what Prabhupada has written here, 33 million. I'm just following what unless someone can ask the DVD editors to find out. Yeah. Because I have asked people also. Some people say 330 million, some people say 33. Personally, we have not counted the number. But the number is so large, and they don't even represent all of the Lord's potency. That's what we learn. Huh?
It's a fraction of this.
Yeah, it's he says that also, right?
3 crores is what I heard.
33 million,
33 crores is what we had
No.
in India. Right? 33? Million or crores?
33 crores.
33
This
crores.
is the normal one.
3 crores is what I heard in languages.
We have
Mukkoti 3 crores. Jana Mukkoti there.
Anyway, you all can go look at your scripture. Text 35 to 39.
Mukkoti there.
Yeah.
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Shri Shuka Uvacha
Iti Sutta Samstuvatah
Iti Sutta Samstuvatah
Sa Tasmin Agamarshane
Satasmin Agamarshane
Pradurashit Kurushreshta
Pradurashit Kurushreshta
Bhagavan Bhagavan Bhaktavatsalah
Bhagavan Bhaktavatsalaha
Kritapada Suparnamshe
Kritapada Suparnamshe
Pralambasta Mahabhujah
Pralambasta Mahabhujaha
Chakra Sankhashi Charmeshu
Chakra Sankhashi Charmeshu
Dhanupasha Gadadaraha
Dhanupasha Gadadaraha
Pitavasa Ghanashyamaha
Pitavasa Ganashyamaha
Prasanna Vadanekshanaha
Prasanna Vadanekshanaha
Vanamala Nivitango
Vanamala Nivitango
Dasat Shri Vatsa Kaustubaha
Dasat Shri Vatsa Kaustubaha
Mahakirita Katakaha
Mahakirita Katakaha
Spuran Makara Kundalaha
Suran Makara Kundalaha
Kanchangulya Valaya
Manchangulyavalaya
Nupurangada Bhushitaha
Nupurangada Bhushataha
Trailokya Mohanam Rupam
Trailokya Mohanam Rupam
Vibrat Tribhuvaneshwaraha
Vibhat Tribhuvaneshwaraha
Rato Naradanandadyahi
Mrito Naradanandadyahi
Harshadai Surayutapaihi
Prasādai Surayutapaihi
Stuyamano Anugayadivihi
Stuyamano Anugayadivihi
Siddhagandharvacharanaihi
Siddhagandharvacharanaihi.
It's a nice description of the Supreme Lord. So it's so nice, Srila Prabhupada. So every time you read now, even some Sanskrit only you know already, form, everything. So the more often you all read, then you can simply read the Sanskrit. In fact, I heard Prabhupada told one disciple just you don't have to go Sanskrit school, you just read my book, you will learn Sanskrit. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who is extremely affectionate to his devotees, was very pleased by the prayers offered by Daksha, and thus he appeared at that holy place known as Agama Rishana. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Kuru dynasty, the Lord's lotus feet rested on the shoulders of his carrier, Garuda, and he appeared with 8 long, mighty, very beautiful arms. So this is 8 formed, not Chaturbhuja. In his hands he held a disc, conch shell, sword, shield, arrow, bow, rope and club. In each hand a different weapon, all brilliantly shining. His garments were yellow and his bodily hue was deep bluish. His eyes and face were very cheerful, and from his neck to his feet hung a long garland of flowers. His chest was decorated with a Kaustuba jewel and the mark of Srivatsa. On his head was a gorgeous round helmet, and his eyes were decorated with earrings resembling sharks. All these ornaments were uncommonly beautiful. The Lord wore a golden belt on his waist, bracelets on his arms, rings on his fingers, and ankle belts on his feet. Thus decorated by various ornaments, Lord Hari, who is attractive to all the living entities of the 3 worlds, is known as Purushottama, the best personality. He was accompanied by great devotees like Narada, Nanda, and all the principal demigods, led by the heavenly king Indra, and the residents of various upper planetary systems such as Siddhaloka, Gandharva Loka, and Charana Loka. Situated on both sides of the Lord and behind him as well, these devotees offered him prayers continuously. So you can see the Lord doesn't come alone. Always there's an entourage like that. One of the things you, simply by reading the translation, you should also take into your consciousness is how the Lord is himself decorated. So that when you do deity worship, you also follow as closely as this is and not speculate, And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I heard from one devotee asking Prabhupada that they were dressing Krishna with turban and helmet. So I think she asked Prabhupada, what do you like, turban or helmet, what is... And Prabhupada said, I like helmet. Nothing significant, I'm just sharing with you what he liked. Yeah. So here, even in the description, he says, gorgeous round helmet. He's wearing a helmet, the Lord. Text 40.
रूपं तन्महादाश्चर्यम् विचक्ष्यागतसाधवसः ननामदण्डवद्भूमौ प्रहृष्टात्मा प्रजापतिः.
Seeing that wonderful and effulgent form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prajapati Daksha was first somewhat afraid, but then he was very pleased to see the Lord, and he fell to the ground like a stick, dandavat, to offer his respects to the Lord. So that's why we also pay dandavats when we go to the temple. Text 41.
न किञ्चनोदीरयितुम् अशकति व्रयामुडा आपूरितमनुद्वारै हृदिन्या इव निर्झरैः.
As rivers are filled by water flowing from a mountain, all of Daksha's senses were filled with pleasure because of his highly elevated happiness. Daksha could not say anything but simply remain flat on the ground. So this is what happens when you see the Supreme Lord. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he couldn't talk also. Then the Lord touched him. Text 42.
तं तथावानतं भक्तं प्रजाकामं प्रजापतिं चित्तज्ञः सर्वभूतानां इदम् आह जनार्दनः.
Although Prajapati Daksha could not say anything, when the Lord, who knows everyone's heart, saw his devotee prostrate in that manner and desiring to increase the population, he addressed him as follows.
श्रीभगवानुवाच प्राचेतसा महाभाग संसिद्धास्तपसा भवान् यच्छ्रद्धया मत्पराया मयि भावं परं गतः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O most fortunate Prachetasa, because of your great faith in me, you have attained the supreme devotional ecstasy. Indeed, because of your austerities combined with exalted devotion, your life is now successful. You have achieved complete perfection. So the Lord has given him that blessings. But still, you will see, he cannot commit offenses. It will come due to pride and other things. Text 44.
प्रीतो अहं ते प्रजानाथ यत्ते अस्योद्ब्रह्मणं तपः ममैष कामभूतानां यद्भूयासुर्विभूतयः.
My dear Prajapati Daksha, you have performed extreme austerities for the welfare and growth of the world. My desire also is that everyone within this world be happy. I am therefore very pleased with you because you are endeavoring to fulfill my desire for the welfare of the entire world. So, in the purport, in the first paragraph, Prabhupada writes in the middle, the living entities who come in contact with the material world are meant to be corrected. All living entities within this material world have revolted against the service of the Lord, and therefore they remain within this material world as ever conditioned, Nitya Baddha, taking birth again and again. So this is what the Lord is telling Daksha. It's a service you have done, I am happy with you. So that the living entities will get the opportunity to go back to Godhead, not to continue the life of sense enjoyment. So in the last paragraph, not the last, but the last paragraph with the Ya Idam Param, Prajapati Daksha is trying to benefit the conditioned souls by begetting them to give them a life with a chance for liberation. Liberation means surrender to Krishna. Couple of lines then, Srila Prabhupada says, if one gives the conditioned souls a chance to become Krishna conscious, all his activities are approved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is extremely pleased. So that's why he is pleased with Daksha. He is giving them the opportunity. So then Prabhupada says, following the examples of previous acharyas, all the members of Krishna consciousness movement should try to benefit the conditioned souls by inducing them to become Krishna conscious and giving them all facilities to do. Such activities constitute real welfare work. Induce means you don't force. There's a difference. Okay. You provide the facility so that they can take up the process without feeling burdensome. Right? You don't force people. Can't force actually. Cannot force anyone to love anybody.
It also means by your own example.
Also, yeah, you can set example. Good, yeah. So therefore, when you do things, you do the best so that someone will get inspired. But don't expect they will do it or must do it like you. Unless you are the person, in an ashram trying to teach, then you have to use some corrections and rules and so on. That's different. But here we are trying to attract people who are just coming, visiting like that. Okay, that's 45.
Brahma bhavo bhavantascha manavo vibhudeshvaraha vibhutayo mama hetya bhutanam bhutihetavaha.
Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Manus, all the other demigods in the higher planetary systems, and you Prajapatis who are increasing the population are working for the benefit of all living entities. Thus, you expansions of my marginal energy are incarnations of my various qualities. So here you can see also all these higher categories of demigods and personalities like Prajapatis, they are all, including us, the living entity, they are all expansions of the Lord, and particularly the administrators of this universe are various qualities of the Lord. Okay. So in the Prabhupada writes there are various types of incarnations or expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This you can read about it in detail in the Sanatan Siksha, Madhya Leela. Alright. The expansions of his personal self or Vishnu Tattva are called Swangsha expansions, whereas the living entities who are not Vishnu Tattva but Jiva Tattva are called Vibhinangsha, separated expansions. Couple of lines down, Prabhupada says, regardless of whether materially high or materially low, anyone engaged in the service of the Lord is spiritually very dear to him. Alright? Lord doesn't see, oh, this guy is president, so he is better than this guy. No. In fact, when His Holiness Ramakrishna Maharaj asked about, does the Krishna like some devotee more than another devotee, then Prabhupada replied that Krishna's love is same for even Radharani as to the calves that he takes care. So, in terms of rasa is different, totally. But his affection is equal.
Like children, all the children are equal.
Yeah. Like a father with a child. All the children are equal. Text 46.
Tapo me hridayam brahmam Tanurvidya kriyakritihi Angani kratavo jata Dharma atma savasuraha
My dear Brahmana, austerity in the form of meditation is my heart. So all of you should do austerity. Vedic knowledge in the form of hymns and mantras constitutes my body, and spiritual activities and ecstatic emotions are my actual form. Ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices, when properly conducted, are the various limbs of my body. The unseen good fortune proceeding from pious or spiritual activities constitutes my mind, and the demigods who execute my orders in various departments are my life and soul. So they are very dear to him. Okay. In the second paragraph, Prabhupada says, to engage in tapasya or denial of material activities is the first principle of spiritual life. Okay, that's a tough one, because most of us are engrossed into that. So that means the more you deny yourself material things, that means you reduce to the basic necessities. Yeah. Okay, doesn't mean you don't have electricity and then live in your home, not like that. Basic, that means you don't feel anxiety and stuff like that. Yeah. Then there are spiritual activities such as the performance of Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, study of the Vedic knowledge, meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So among that we could do study, meditate and chant. Okay. The Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, we leave it to the people who like to do those yagnas. Right? One should also respect the demigods and understand how they are situated, how they act and how they manage the activities of the various departments of this material world. In this way one can see how God is existing and how everything is managed perfectly because of the presence of the Supreme Lord. And again the famous quote, Maya Dakshana Prakriti. Under his supervision everything is moving. Okay. So every living entity is under the Lord's protection. Okay, that's the basic idea is. Otherwise they are all only representing the Lord but under different functions or names like that. Instead of the Lord personally coming to give sunlight, taking care of the universal affairs, give water and all, he has empowered personalities to do those tasks. Okay? And he takes care of them and they take care of us. So basically that's his way of protecting us. Text 47.
Aham yevasam evagre nanyat kinchantaram balihi samjnana matram avyaktam prasuptam iva vishvatah.
Before the creation, you notice it's very similar to the second canto of Chatushlok. Before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, I alone existed with my specific spiritual potencies. Consciousness was then unmanifested, just as one's consciousness is unmanifested during the time of sleep. Okay, so he alone existed, basically. Then he created. Yeah. Okay, and then in the middle, after the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 9, 13 and 14, the personality of God had appeared in Vrindavana as the son of Mother Yashoda, who bound the Lord with rope, just as an ordinary mother binds a material child. There are actually no divisions of external and internal for the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Okay? It appears like that, but it's no. Everything is the same. Whether the point is, there's no difference. Like the name is the Lord, and the Lord and his form is the same. So similarly, there's no difference between external and internal for the form of the Lord. No such thing. It is the Lord, like that. And then the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, after the annihilation of everything, the Supreme Lord, because of Sachit Ananda Vigraha, remains in his original form. But since the other living entities have material bodies, the matter merges into matter. And the subtle form of the spirit soul remains within the body of the Lord. So this one is where?
Mahavishnu.
Could be. Could be. Yeah, it could be Mahavishnu, or it could also be Garbhadaksha Vishnu. The Lord does not sleep, but the ordinary living entities remain asleep until the next creation. An unintelligent person thinks that the opulence of the Supreme Lord is non-existent after the annihilation. But that is not a fact. The opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead remains as it is in the spiritual world. Only in the material world is everything dissolved. Brahmalina, merging into the Supreme Brahman, is not actually Lina or annihilation. For the subtle form remaining in the Brahman effulgence will return to the material world after the material creation and again assume a material form. So here again it's explained clearly that the living entity, as long as he has material desires, he has a subtle form. Mind, intelligence, false ego. Okay? So that will determine his next body. And it is like, it will not leave the soul, because that's his desire. And so the soul may be sleeping in the body of the Lord. As soon as the if you read earlier on, when the time is ready, they will start kicking the Lord in his stomach, and he'll smile, and then he'll shoot the lotus, and Brahma creates the second wave, like that. So then when they come out again, they come out with their subtle desires, which must be manifested into gross forms later on. So then Prabhupada continues, this is described as Bhutva Praliyate, right? Annihilation, creation, and cycle. When the material body is annihilated, the spirit soul remains in a subtle form, which later assumes another material body. So the spirit soul remains in subtle form, means it is covered by the subtle body. Mind, intelligence, false ego. They all are there, and it carries him into the next material body. But it is not the same for the Supreme Lord. He is always spiritual. Okay?
By saying the purport that for the subtle form remaining in the Brahman effulgence will return to the material world after the material creation and again assume a material form.
Yeah.
Why is it saying the Brahman effulgence?
What do
Why
you mean?
not the Supreme Personality of God?
Where you say Brahman effulgence?
Same.
These are not liberated souls.
Brahmalina, the last part. Merging to the Supreme Brahman is not
Oh.
actually Lina or annihilation for the Supreme form remaining.
Yeah, they just remain there until the next creation cycle.
Oh, that's what you're saying, the people who merge in the person world.
Yeah, not just impersonally. Sometimes they may be, you just keep them in the cloud,
Okay.
and then you use them later or something like that.
This is not secondary dissolution also.
It could be within, it could be outside also. Yeah. Because the Brahman effulgence comes even into this material world. Now, if it's the whole universe is gone, then they may be merged into the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu form. That is one way. Or they may remain in the Brahman also. Both are possible. Yeah.
So, and then going back into the body of Mahavishnu, all the material elements disintegrate.
Yeah, that is disintegration completely.
Including mind, intelligence.
Yeah. They all
Only
go.
the soul goes and stays.
No, if I believe they will come back again with their desire. So no, that is still there with them.
The mind, the
The
subtle body.
the subtle is still with
So the
them.
subtle body stays in the body of
That we don't understand how, but it's
I
there.
understand asking. So that it's a
Well, it's
in detail, but
yeah. I don't understand how it happens, but they have the
desire, the imprints are there.
it's there. It's there. Otherwise, the super soul is there. The super soul knows
The
everything.
backup copy and
No need to make backup when he knows.
Never fails.
Yeah. Even if, let's say, we assume all the elements are gone, the pure spirit is there and he merges into Mahavishnu. The Paramatma still knows, the Lord himself knows what each one will.
He knows the past,
What
What
present.
is the assignment for each
even after
individual?
He knows the past, present.
Yeah. So you can see sometimes, the living entities may completely be inside his body, or it could be also in the Brahman effulgence also.
But in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says every time we give up the gross body, but the art is to learn how to give up the subtle body. So then
Art is to give up the subtle body.
then we'll go back to Krishna.
Yeah, because sometimes people argue, we didn't come from spiritual world, we came from Brahman effulgence and so on. But you can read from here, during annihilation this can happen. Yeah.
That's a big problem, they say.
No, we don't worry about it. Because they are all traps.
Yeah.
Most important thing is how to love Krishna.
In the Brahma Samhita class, Maran explained this. The living entity, when Mahavishnu glances along with that, the living entities, their karma and the time factor, these three things are injected. So it is a basically Ichha Shakti and a Kriya Shakti that is injected even to the living entity for the desire to come to be awake. So that basically karma is already there with the living entity.
Yeah, so that's why he wanted to ask. How is it?
injected, that means it's maybe stored separately.
No, this thing
He's asking the storage.
Yeah, don't worry about how.
Where is the cold storage?
There's some cloud storage. When we change the pole,
You see, the Lord can do it because He can remember everything. We can't. Even our own past lives, everything He knows, which is inconceivable. So whichever Shakti He uses, He knows this guy, he's going to suffer like that after the next creation. Continue from where you left.
It won't go away.
Yeah, won't go. So we all thinking, all white, clean.
shortcut.
Yeah, it's not going
Device
to.
is wiped.
it's long cut.
For us, we made, because you're sleeping, you don't know.
Very long.
And then when you wake up, it's just like the next day.
So ask the silly question, we are in the body of Mahavishnu, why are we not getting purified and someday get it? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
You have to still go.
yeah. Because your desire is still wrong.
Our desire
Out
is
of
We are frozen.
Compassion He holds us.
love and compassion, He's keeping you because we are spirit souls. So He can hold you.
need a place.
Yeah, but He's not going to bring us back to the
Spiritual.
spiritual world.
He has to put
Like
his
every
own-
morning he is reminding us.
Yeah.
This. Deep sleep.
Yeah, out of love, He doesn't want to, force us. But at the same time, we have to learn to love Him. And you are sleeping at that time. So even though you are in His body, you are completely sleeping. So there's no active service of going to help you purify. Yeah, so that's not how it works.
Shortcut.
Yeah. If you look at Daksha, when he prayed, there's a personal connection, and so the Lord gave him audience, and therefore he was blessed with the ecstasy, right? But all these souls who are fighting and nonsense, we can't get just because we go inside the body. In one sense, you have to understand, even the material energy is a transformation of the Lord. So He can transform that energy also, back to spirit if He wants to. Yeah. So He can hold everything within Himself. So there's no contradiction. If He can't, then He is not the Supreme Lord. So He can hold the subtle energy within Him and transform it and bring it back. So that's why oftentimes here in the Purport Srila Prabhupada tries to establish the difference between spirit and matter, Krishna's position, our position, and so we can come to accept that yes, he can do this, I can't. Yeah, like that. Text 48.
Mayyananta gune anante
Mayyananta gune
gunato guna vigraha
gunato guna vigraha
yada asetata evadyaha
yada siddhata evadyaha
svayambhu samabhudajaha
svayambhu samabhudajaha.
And the reservoir of unlimited potency, and therefore I am known as unlimited.